The medical, aesthetic and medical spa industries are growing exponentially with no clear end in sight. The increasing acceptance, availability and affordability of many minimally invasive cosmetic treatments has fostered an era of glamour. This era ushers in the premise that medical aesthetic treatments are part of a normal routine that works to maintain a natural and healthy appearance. Well, Skin, Body and Health Renewal in South Africa has hit double digits this year, celebrating its 10th birthday since opening its first premises in Morningside, Johannesburg in July 2005. To discuss their spectacular rise to fame in this highly competitive and dynamic industry, I am joined by its CEO, Victor Snyders. Welcome. Great to have you with us and happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure it's been an incredible journey of growth.
It has, especially when it wasn't a journey that we started with any idea of where it was that we were going.
Mm-hmm. What was the most exciting part for you as CEO?
Every single day. I don't think there's been a single day that we haven't learned something and been quite enthralled by this journey. It's almost as though we were a surfer, mm-hmm. and the wave has taken us, as opposed to us doing all the work ourselves.
So not much marketing needed to be done. I think generally women are buying into medical aesthetic when it comes to health and body renewal.
Well, you know, I recently I binge-watched Mad Men. And one of the things that struck me when I watched Mad Men, which was set in the 1950s and 1960s, was there was a big thing about women using hair colouring. And it was regarded as cheating. Mm-hmm. And Clairol, who were one of the first people to get involved in dyeing of hair, one of their advertising slogans was, "Does she or doesn't she?" And it was one of those, it was like the elephant in the room that you didn't speak about. And it was perceived in public as though if you were colouring your hair, you were cheating. Mm-hmm. Now, hair dye is no longer an issue, and makeup is no longer an issue. We have no problem in going to the hairdresser and spending 1,000 rand on a set and a perm and a colouring, and we do all of that. And then we'll go and spend another 1,000 rand on all our makeup, and we'll buy a beautiful outfit and we'll make sure it fits well, and we'll colour coordinate it, mm-hmm. and we'll get accessories. But if we do something aesthetically to our skin, that's still a no-no. And that trend is shifting too. What we've seen in South Africa is that it is certainly something which is more open, mm-hmm. and that people talk about, and it's accepted as very much part of the beauty regimen.
I'm sure also because technology has advanced so much in that sphere as well.
Well, you have two real aspects. On the one side, you've got the advances in technology. If we go back 20 years, aesthetic medicine as a field did not exist. You could either go for a facelift with a plastic surgeon or a facial with a beautician, and there was nothing between the two.
Yeah, two extremes.
So the technology, the advancements in equipment, in injectables and things like that have allowed for this field to develop. But secondly, what we've had is that people's lives are changing. Mm-hmm. Once again, if we go back to our grandparents, you went to school, you maybe studied, you worked for 40 years, then you were put off to God's waiting room, where you waited for between 5 and 10 years before the Grim Reaper came to take you along. Mm-hmm. Now people are having two lives. They're getting divorced in their 30s or 40s or 50s. They're starting new families. They're starting new careers. They no longer go to God's waiting room to wait for the Grim Reaper. They spend 30 or 40 years traveling the world, starting new businesses, entering into new relationships. So people's lifestyles have changed, particularly amongst the older segment. Mm-hmm. And the need to be attractive for a lady or a man who divorces in their mid-40s and has to re-enter the dating game and be attractive, mm-hmm. in the same way as she goes to gym. You know, I love these analogies with the old days. When I was a kid, if you went to a gym, that meant you were a bodybuilder and going to enter a Mr. Universe contest. If you were jogging along the road, well, you were either doing comrades, but you were regarded as being a little bit crazy. Now, jogging, running, cycling. If you were cycling, You were either a child or couldn't afford a car. Now, on a Sunday, our roads are assailed with hundreds of cyclists in outfits. It's become the mainstream. So our lives have changed. And in the same way as our lives have changed, the things that have become available to us are things that we now use.
Absolutely.
So going to the gym is now endorsed by your medical aid.
Yeah, there's this greater awareness there, but how important it is to feel good about yourself from the inside out. And you follow a very holistic approach when dealing with health issues with your clients. Tell us more.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things for us that's always been important is that we understand that primarily we're dealing with the skin. But we use, once again, a story that the skin is like the dashboard of a car. And if something is wrong inside your system, inside the engine, then a light comes on in your dashboard and you may develop pigmentation, acne, you may develop rosacea, you may develop any condition, you may wrinkle, your skin may age. And what we can do is superficially we can treat that. In other words, we can switch off the light on the dashboard, but the problem that causes the symptom is not being dealt with. So we spend a lot of time in understanding the causes behind things that are happening and that are appearing and manifesting in the skin, so that we don't only treat the symptom, but we also treat the cause. And very often that means dealing with people's lifestyles.
Yeah. As you mentioned, you know, the awareness is there. People are taking a more active role when it comes to their health issues, etc. There's so many products out there, though. You've just mentioned very briefly the approach that you follow. If you can just expand to elaborate on what really gives you a competitive advantage in this industry.
I think one of probably our biggest competitive advantage is that we are not aligned to any one product, any one manufacturer, any one distributor. What we do is we research all the products in the market in terms of medical skincare, the equipment that is totally available in the market, and all the technologies that are available in the market, and we select a very large variety of those pieces of equipment. That gives the person who comes to us the comfort that we have gone through the selection process to use the right thing, and given the circumstances, we may use a different thing, which is also at our disposal. What you find very often in the beauty industry, and even in the aesthetics industry, is that the practitioner or the beautician is tied to one or two product lines. And the reason they suggest that you should use that product is it's because that's all that they have to offer you. Whereas if you have a very wide range of products and technologies available, then you are able to personalize the treatment. And I think that's the other key, is medicine has become personalized. Simply using the cookie cutter approach, the McDonald's approach, that everyone is the same, so you do exactly the same treatment to everyone because you will always get the same results, is not so. Every single person is unique.
And it's not just about selling products and
Not
offering
at all.
solutions, etc. I mean, I visited your branch in Fourways, and I was blown away by the experience. The moment you enter, it's you entering the space oasis of peace and well-being. You feel that you're in a space where people want to take care of you. And I immediately got that.
You know, it was a decision that we made very early on when we started this business. My partner, Dr. Maureen Allen, and myself were both newly divorced. We were in our mid-40s. We had grown-up children who had emigrated. We were empty nesters. We owned our homes. We owned our cars. And we were sitting without any debt and without any serious financial obligations. And we sat down and we said, let's do something we really enjoy. And what we both enjoyed doing was helping people. And we started a business to help people. Although it sounds contradictory, we did not start a business to make money.
Yeah.
We understood that the business needed to make money so that we could continue to do what we did. And it needed to be profitable so that it could grow and help more people.
Yeah.
But the motivation behind what we do has always been to help people transform their lives.
And that is the driver of most successful businesses.
Absolutely.
It has to start with that vision.
And when we make a decision about a piece of equipment to buy or how to treat someone, the primary thing is always, how does this benefit the patient? What is best for the patient? How can I transform the patient's life? If our motivation was, how much money and profit can I make out of this patient, then you're not working in the patient's best interest. You're working in your own best interest.
Yeah, well, it represents a total place of escape.
Absolutely.
Being at one of your branches. So it was fantastic, and it will stand out in my mind. You know, it's not your regular spas that you go to. It really does stand out in terms of the service that you offer.
Well, we just have an immense amount of fun doing it. We see around South Africa probably between 10 and 12,000 patients a month. We have 22 doctors on staff, about 10 nurses and about 120 therapists across the 17 branches.
Health and beauty is a sensitive thing. So, you know, the way you treat your clients when they walk in the door makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
And
these are personal issues we carry with ourselves, and it feeds into our self-esteem and how we impact on other people's lives as well.
Yes. We just really enjoy what we do. You know, when Maureen gets home in the evening and I get home in the evening, she tells me about the patients that she has seen that have come back to us. A lady came to us recently. She'd had psoriasis. She's in her 40s and has had this itchy, flaky skin since she was a child. She had visited dermatologists, skin specialists, everything, nearly all of whom treated her for the symptom.
Yeah.
And Maureen happened to bump into her about 6-8 weeks ago and treated it from a completely different perspective, and that was her nutrition and the acids balance within her system.
And that is important.
And within 6 weeks, this woman's psoriasis cleared up. Now, it was a very, very cheap solution and a very easy solution. We could have made a great deal more money by going on an extensive range of treatments to treat the symptoms. But the reality is, this woman came back to Maureen and she said, you know, you have changed my life. And
I'm sure that is the gratitude you want to experience.
absolutely, that makes us want to celebrate.
There's no doubt
Because
in my
when you've
mind
made
that
a
you are very
difference.
sincere in your vision, having visited that branch in 4 ways. I just want to ask you this question about anti-aging, because it is a sensitive issue. How do you deal with people that want to stop aging or reduce the impacts of aging? What advice do you give them? Because we can't really stop the process of aging.
Well, you can die.
Okay.
That's when you stop aging. So the reality is that you will continue to age. But because we are living as a species far longer than 2 or 3 generations ago, we now need to take care of our bodies a lot better. I very often ask people, when they've bought a new car, why do they send it for a service? And they tell me, to keep the car running. And I say, no, because if you don't send it to a service, then your guarantee expires. And then the guarantor will say to you, we will not guarantee this motor because you did not maintain it. Now, unfortunately, when we're born, we are not given that same form of guarantee, and we don't believe that we need to service ourselves. So what we do is we abuse our systems by the way we live, by what we eat, by how we treat ourselves, emotionally, physically. And then when we are 60 or 70 or 75 years old, we become critically ill.
Yeah.
And then we spend all the money that we have spent 70 years making trying to stay alive for another 3 months or another 6 months and cling onto life in that state. Now, what we really need to do is start having regular services.
Yep.
Start checking up on ourselves. Be aware of the levels of certain things in your blood, in your hormones, how your system, your metabolism is working. Keeping yourself healthy, whilst it is costly as you do it, costs far less than the drastic action that has to take place when you get seriously ill. So the best way to deal with anti-aging is, in fact, to look after yourself.
Every day counts.
Every single day counts, every meal counts. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a hamburger or have an ice cream or whatever. But you need to understand moderation.
You need to be
and you need to
consciously aware
understand
of
balance.
the choices we make.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that very powerful message. It was a big pleasure to have you with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.